I have an agreement with Richard Tice that there will be no deals with the Conservative Party. My aim when I joined Reform UK was to obliterate the Conservative Party. I don't see them as allies of Reform UK. We were polling nationally at higher figures than we were actually achieving in by-elections. I don't think that was entirely true, by the way, because when we stood in the Tamworth by-election, we got a vote of just over 5%. I think we were polling about 5% at that time. But the polls, the political sands have been shifting and the polls have been moving at a rate which is almost ahead of the by-election timetable. But having said that, we all know the by-elections have been coming at a pace too. But anyway, back in Tamworth, which was about 3 or 4 months ago, we got 5%. Mid Bedfordshire, we got slightly less than that. And, move the clock on 4 months, and I nearly trebled that in Wellingborough for Reform UK. And I think the message here is not one really of celebration. We're obviously delighted that we've beaten our national polling figures, but it's a staging post for Reform UK. We've established ourselves now firmly on the political landscape, not just in theoretical polls, but at the ballot box. And we can build on, our position from where we are. And that's the mission now for Reform UK, to take this from a couple of by-election good performances to, potentially winning election seats.
But it is still, in a sense, a wasted vote for Reform UK, because 13% may be celebrated, but it's a long way from returning anybody to Westminster to actually be a Reform MP.
It is, but think about the direction of travel, Adam. 5% a few months ago, 13% now. That's a dramatic increase in our vote share. And if that continues, and I can't see any reason why it wouldn't continue, by the way, because we are appealing very directly, and the message is increasingly getting across to small c Conservatives in the country, that we're the only party that genuinely will cut taxes, will cut back immigration, will take the burden of regulation off the neck of private enterprise. The Conservatives have had 14 years to do it. They've done quite the opposite. Labour, we know, is a big state interventionist, borrow, tax and spend party. The only party which offers small c conservatism is Reform UK, and our brand is becoming known more across the country. People are becoming more familiar with the characters in our party. And as I say, this was a staging post. So I think we are on our way to making political history.
But the electoral mass being where they are, Rishi Sunak is right, isn't he, when he says that a vote for reform right now is a vote for that socialistic big state government by Keir Starmer that you've just criticised?
Well, we've had big state socialistic government from Rishi Sunak. I mean, it's an extraordinary state, isn't it, Adam, where the practice of governance, the economic governance of our country, got us into the mess that we're in. And they think that going on practicing that same formula is going to get us out. That's Rishi's plan. Rishi's plan is basically to do more of the same that he's always done. He doesn't realize that wealth redistribution has a limit, and that you've actually got to go for wealth creation, that people won't work unless it pays to work. And so you've got to reduce taxes on the working and middle classes. That penny simply hasn't dropped with him. It's something that anyone who's got a bit of grey hair would be able to convey to him, but he doesn't listen to people around him. He's got his own agenda, and that agenda is has delivered this country to the point of economic peril. And so the only small c Conservative vote is Reform UK. And I don't agree that a vote for Reform UK effectively is a vote for Labour, because we are on the march. And there's the other implication of Rishi Sunak's comment is that, the Conservative Party's got some sort of predestined right to govern, a sense of entitlement, which is, frankly, I find it offensive. We are a genuine political party with a genuine set of policies, and it's for the British people to decide who they vote for.
Well, I understand that, but at the same time, your honorary chairman, Nigel Farage, has made it quite clear that he sees Reform UK as a vehicle to influence Conservative Party policy and to pull the Conservatives to the right. And he hopes to reunite what he calls the centre-right vote. So, in a sense, it's not your vision of reform governing the country, is it? It's about reform, trying to reform the Conservative Party in your direction.
I'm not aware of Nigel Farage having said that. I know there's been a lot of flirtation between the Tory
He
party
said
and
it on
Nigel.
BBC Radio at lunchtime on Friday.
Did he? Well, he doesn't speak for the leader of the party, Richard Tice, or indeed myself as deputy leader. I have an agreement with Richard Tice that there will be no deals with the Conservative Party. My aim when I joined Reform UK was to obliterate the Conservative Party. I don't see them as allies of Reform UK. I don't see them as capable of delivering Conservative
Well,
policies.
even
They've
if
been
people
complete.
like Jacob Rees-Mogg or Liz Truss were to emerge after the election as the leaders of the Tory party.
Well, Jacob Rees-Mogg, I love what Jacob Rees-Mogg says, but Jacob Rees-Mogg was in cabinet for a long time, as was Liz Truss, and they delivered a lot of the policies with which we disagree, including, for example, we haven't touched on it, the border down the Irish Sea, which, as you may or may know, has exercised me terribly. We became the only country in history to voluntarily partition itself, hand over part of its jurisdiction to a foreign
Yeah.
set of laws made by a foreign, legislature enforced by a foreign court.
Well,
It's
that was
absolutely
a consequence
abominable.
of Brexit, which we know you supported. Anyway, Ben Habib, thank you very much indeed for joining us.